20 or so more seconds.
Sounds good. And I'll just do a little kick-off as well, so it doesn't matter too much if people miss that.
Perfect. And I remember to press record, which is always the drama in these things.
Perfect.
You want to kick us off then, Alex?
Yeah, no problem. So thanks for joining, everyone. And for anyone watching retrospectively as well, feel free to ask us any questions you may have on Discord afterwards, or let us know on athena@showcode.io. But yeah, welcome to the second session of the Athena Support Week. For those that were on earlier session, don't worry, I won't be speaking as much as I was earlier. I will hand over to the professional shortly, but just a bit of housekeeping from my perspective. So the sessions will be recorded and added to YouTube and sent out afterwards. So if you or your teammates missed this session or missed earlier, don't worry, we will be sending that out. Any questions, like I say, can be asked afterwards. So for this session, any Athena related questions, just email those over. We'll keep this one for the actual mobile app accessibility from a Lloyds Banking Group perspective. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. We'll get cracking, and I'll hand over now.
Thank you very much, Alex, and welcome everyone. It's the start of Athena Week. It sounds like you've had a session already, which is awesome. We are really looking forward to this weekend and coming along to Athena. So for those of you that will be down in CodeNode on Saturday and Sunday, please come over to the Lloyds Banking Group stall and say hello to us, and hopefully grab some of our stash that we've got winging its way down there at the moment. If the post service gets it there in time, I am really hoping we get that sorted. But yeah, so I'd like to welcome you today to our session on mobile app accessibility. Now, the reason why we've picked this as a topic to share with you and to bring Radula, who is a senior mobile quality engineer in our payments lab, and bring to life her experiences and knowledge just on this topic is because at Athena this weekend we've got a hack theme. So not one of the main challenges, but a theme which is best consideration of accessible design in your solution. And so we wanted to bring some of that knowledge and share it with you to support you in on the weekend. Now, it's a theme that is completely open to those who are going to be there at the weekend with us, as well as those who are doing it virtually as well. And you've got a chance to win an iPad for each of the team who are taking part. So we've got some really good prizes and a really good theme, a really important theme as well. For those who are there on the weekend, we are bringing a hands-on workshop around this, and we've got some more engineers who will be joining us down in CodeNode on the Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, who will be really bringing to life this topic in a slightly different way in the room. But as I said, we're joined today by Radula, who is going to be talking us through her knowledge and experience on this topic. If you have any questions throughout the session, please drop them into the chat and we'll look to get those answered for you. If you have anything extra on top of it, as Alex just mentioned, please drop it into Discord. Some of us will be on there as well, being able to answer questions for you there. So without further ado, thank you very much. I'll hand over to you, Radula.
Thank you, Braden. Hello everyone. I'm Rudula, working as a senior mobile QE at Lloyds Banking Group on Payments Lab. So I'll just quickly share my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen now. Yeah. So I hope everyone is doing good. Today I'm going to discuss about mobile application accessibility, and the agenda for this presentation is to talk about what is accessibility, why mobile application accessibility is important, what are the guidelines and principles and checklist for the accessibility, and what are the assistive technologies and simulators we have available in the market to support for the accessibility. So coming to what is accessibility. I think many of us think that accessibility is only for the people who has physical or mental challenges. And we also think that it doesn't affect us anything. But that is not true. So, with today's technologies, the visually impaired people are also able to access the mobile applications just like others. With the recent example which I have seen in the train station, there is a visually impaired couple who are trying to access the mobile application to read the directions for them to reach their destination. So, the mobile applications with more accessibility is possible with the recent technologies like a screen readers. And every one of us will experience some sort of disability in the life. It could be permanent, it could be temporary, or it could be situational disability. For example, consider who has gone through a cataract surgery for the eye and they are still going through the recovery phase. And that's a kind of temporary disability for them. And they'll still be able to use the mobile applications just like us using the screen readers, reading the information out for them. And also, many of us will use Google Maps for reading the directions for us when we are driving. So, developing an accessibility applications will make sure the usability of applications for the widest range of capabilities. And it also ensures the inclusive service. That means making the service available as easy as possible for everyone to use it. I think many of us has the habit of enabling the transcripts and subtitles while we are watching a video or when we are hearing to some audio. So that is also one sort of accessibility which we are using on our day-to-day activities. Like the example which I have given before, the Google Maps, which is which is giving us the accessibility by reading the information or the directions out for us when we are driving. These are all kind of situational needs. So even the people with no disability or who are leading the normal life are using the accessibility knowingly or unknowingly on day-to-day activities. With the today's global population, to 15% of the global population has a physically some sort of disability with physical or mental. So making sure developing the accessibility applications for them will also gives a better applications for us. Why mobile accessibility is important? I think everyone has seen the COVID-19 crisis, right? So during COVID-19, many of the physical outlets and companies of different branches of different companies has been permanently closed or they are being temporarily closed. S- Because of that crisis, many of the customers are pushed to digitalization. It accelerated the digitalization of the customers by several years. And also, mobile being a portable device, the digitalization also increased the massive usage of smartphones and mobile applications. As on today, UK has 10 million people who are unable to use the internet by themselves. It can be because of different reasons. It can be because of having disability, or it can be because of aging, or it could be because of some other reasons too. But providing the accessible applications will help many of those people to onboard to digital world and can easily complete their daily tasks without any dependency. At LBG, we are inclusive to value everyone. We strive to create inclusive environment for all types of customers. We also put people's first to go further for customers. We achieve this by creating sustainable and inclusive applications for all types of customers. Reduced inequalities is also one of the sustainability goal. So developing the accessible applications will also help us achieving the sustainability goals. So coming to the guidelines and checklists for accessibility of mobile apps. So mobile apps accessibility also follows the guidelines which is designed by the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So it is an international standard guidelines which has been recognized to improve the accessibility for web and mobile applications. So these guidelines has four basic principles. It's perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. POUR. So perceivable. Perceivable means we need to make sure the mobile applications is presented in a way that users can observe using one of their senses. Take an example for a mobile application. We need to make sure the application has some sort of audio support for the people who cannot see and some sort of text support for the people who cannot hear. Providing such kind of accessible features in the application will ensure the application is perceivable, operable. So we need to make sure the UI interfaces of the application should be operable regardless of any disability. For example, we need to make sure all the gestures and all the scroll actions of the mobile should be easily operable for the people who has some sort of disability in their arm or who has been suffering with arthritis. We need to make sure to simplify such gestures. Understandable. The information available in the mobile application should be understandable, and the operation behind the UI component should also be understandable. So we need to make sure the user understands what is the action that is going to be performed when he is going to interact with one of the UI elements in the application. So he needs to be aware all the information is understandable to them when they are trying to access the mobile application. Robust. So we need to make sure the mobile application is robust enough. That means we need to make sure the mobile application is compatible with all different screen sizes and all rotation modes, landscape and portrait. And we also need to make sure the application is compatible with different assistive technologies like screen readers, some sort of accessibility technologies. This is the common checklist for the mobile application accessibility. The first one is to keep the screen sizes different, keep different screen sizes. So as I said, we need to be robust. We need to be make sure the application is compatible with different screen sizes like iPad or tablet of different screen sizes and phones of bigger sizes and the smaller sizes like SE. So every screen size should be compatible with the application. And also we need to make sure the color contrast is proper. And we need, as I said like before, we need to make sure the app gestures are simple. It should not be too hard for the people to scroll or too hard for the people to zoom in or zoom out within the application. And touch targets, we need to make sure the touch targets are properly aligned with the UI elements. For example, in many of the applications we might see the touch target for clearing a text field will be very small. So in such cases, it will be very difficult for the people who cannot concentrate on the touch target properly and he'll not be able to clear the text field many times. And we need to make sure the data entry is also easy. Making the data entry easy doesn't mean just giving the option to give a keyboard for them and let them enter the data. We also need to make sure some sort of data entry like by dictating the application to give the data which we send by speech. And we also make sure some sort of number fields are enabled with only numbers keypad. Keeping layouts consistent. So we need to make sure not too many sizes has been used in the application. We need to make sure all the layouts are consistent because it might cause some confusion for the people who is facing some mental challenges. Coming to the assistive technologies for mobile accessibility. For mobile accessibility, we have screen readers, which is TalkBack for Android and VoiceOver for iOS. These screen readers will help you read out the content for us. So it reads out the information on the mobile application UI and it will let you perform some actions like scrolling and everything by clicking or by using your two fingers, and it will assist you how to use the application in the accessible mode also. So for Android, it's talkback, and for iOS, it is voiceover. It is provided in the mobile device itself. And we have couple of scanner apps, which is a Google Accessibility Scanner app for Android and Xcode Accessibility Scanner app for iOS. These applications will scan you the will scan the content on the UI, and it will give you some sort of suggestions while when you scan the UI actually. So it will give you some sort of suggestions based on the UI, like the color contrast suggestions, or it can be touch target area suggestions, or it can be any sort of such suggestions. And the last one is speech to text, which is available in iOS and Android too. So it will allow you to give the commands to the application using your speech. You can customize the commands also. You can customize the command saying the application, I want to click on this button, I want to enter this value into the button. Such commands can also be customized in the device itself, and it will also enables the application to allow such commands to perform some actions on the UI. And these are the common accessibility issues which we can observe while you are scanning the application using the scanner apps like Google Accessibility Scanner or Xcode Accessibility Scanner. Some of them are like screen rotation blocked. So our applications should be enabled with all kinds of rotation mode, either portrait and landscape, because it will give feasibility for the few users to use it on whichever mode they wanted to. And we also need to be careful about using the image contrasts and button contrast on the UI. And we also need to give some sort of instructions to the input fields which we have in the application. By that way, we are making sure the user is able to understand what kind of input needs to be provided on that particular field. Use of color, for example, notifications. If any service is not available in the application, we need to communicate for the users by some way of alerting them with a different color, like a red banner showing them in a different color, which they can be easily catchy for them. Accessibility simulators. We have different kinds of accessibility simulators available in the market. These accessibility simulators help us to empathize with the um, disability people, where we can understand the problems what they are facing when they are using the mobile applications. We have different accessibility simulators for visually impaired people and people who are suffering with arthritis, which they can use as gloves, and they can try to access the mobile applications and see what kind of gestures has been so difficult for them to proceed with. And we can also check the color contrast and other things are proper for people who is visually impaired using such lenses. I think with this, I can conclude my mobile accessibility topic. Any
Thank you
questions?
very much. Yes, if anyone's got any questions, please ask them in the chat.
Amazing. And just while people, I was going to say, while people are getting onto that, I just want to say a huge thank you for going through that. As you mentioned at the start as well, Brent, obviously ties in very nicely with the prize you're giving away around accessibility. So we'll send it out for anyone that was making notes throughout that to keep up. We'll send it out so that you have it for reference when you're hacking at the weekend as well. So and there's going to be a team from Lloyds Banking Group there on Saturday as well to kind of help. So yeah, do let us know if you've got any questions. But obviously, as with all of our sessions, will be available throughout the week to kind of help answer them if you can't think of any now. There's one there.
You've got one from Kitty for you. So, what was one of the most challenging things you've worked on with regards to accessibility?
I think being not able to zoom in and zoom out for most of the applications, it is not enabled. And people who has some sort of visual impairment, they will not be able to see the text if it isn't properly bold or if the font size is too small because of the screen sizes they are using. So that is a bit challenging thing.
Got a question saying, any suggestions for accessibility ahead of the hackathon? So, e.g., is there to use any tool tips or not to use tool tips? So for the folks who'll be joining us on the hackathon, and you mentioned some of the checkers in the presentation. Is that something people are able to use and to check for anything that they're designing themselves?
Yes, I think it is one of the accessibility checklist thing which I have mentioned using the instructions or proper labels for the input fields. I think tooltip is also comes under such sort of common accessibility checklist. It is always good to have a tooltip for the input fields and so that the user will be able to understand what sort of inputs need to be provided, a kind of examples they can provide in the tooltips. Yes.
Thank you. Then Sidra's asked, how realistic is the accessibility simulator compared to real people to disabilities? Do you also hold any focus groups with users who have disabilities?
So the simulators, I really not sure how it is compared to the real people with disability. But when I used the simulator, I could really understand what is the problem that facing with the color contrast and different kinds of gestures when they're trying to scroll with the glows. For example, the glows which I have shown you is a simulation for the arthritis, people who is suffering with arthritis. So I felt it so difficult when trying to access some sort of gestures like scrolling and tapping on a touch target which has very low touch target area like clearing button in a text field. So such things I really felt it is something that we need to work on. Yeah, but I'm really not sure how it can be compared to the people who is really facing that difficulty. But when I tried it on, I felt it very difficult and I can really understand what where the problem is and about the color contrasters and about the gestures. Maybe if the simulators are available on first, as you said, they can try it on. Yeah.
I was going to say on Saturday we'll be bringing some of the simulators down so people can get an opportunity to have a go on there. And then do you know of any of the focus groups that we use with users who are disabled?
I'm not really sure on that.
I know we've got a group within the organisation, within Lloyds Banking Group, who look to support both colleagues with disabilities and understanding better for customers. So there's definitely groups of people with that, and that's a focus. Piers asked, how do you do testing to check your app is accessible after it is developed? Is it mainly checking against the WCAG guidelines or also testing with users with accessibility needs?
Yes, after the app has been produced and we test the application using the screen readers as a primary criteria. So we need to ensure each and every input field and user interface of the application has been read properly out. And if the we can also tag different UI interfaces to a different screen reader text other than what it has been default to. And yeah, with I mean as I said, we have a couple of scanners also and on Google accessibility scanner for Android and Xcode accessibility scanner for iOS. If we scan the application UI with such accessibility tools, we'll get a suggestions based on the WCAG guidelines, and we can go ahead and check with our developers to improvise on those areas. And we also did some sort of usability testing. We have few people in our company where they have the real need of the accessibility. We have given our application to them and tried to collect the feedback, and we also implemented few such features taking their inputs too.
Users feedback on our apps, can they provide direct feedback to us or through the app stores?
Sorry, I did not get that.
Can our customers or our users of our applications, can they provide feedback themselves as to their experiences?
I think they can also provide the feedback in the app store if when they are downloading the application. I think there will be support group also reading that feedback from the app store or Play Store. They might take it up from there.
Super. This question is, do you have ongoing accessibility feature additions as part of a product roadmap? Or is it more so once you created the features, then you could only make changes once a user sends some feedback, for example?
It's there in the product roadmap, yes. So the basic criteria of voiceover, that is talkback for Android and voiceover for iOS. So we need to make sure the application is compatible with the screen readers, and we also make sure each and every element which is newly developed or which is newly bringing into the functionality has been mapped with the proper screen reader text so that everyone will understand that. It's there in the product roadmap.
Thank you. Maria has asked, is making apps accessible a legal requirement?
I'm not sure if it's a legal requirement, but I have seen few of the companies has been sued in US for not making their applications accessible. Example, in 2017, Domino's has been sued by one of the physically challenged person that the application is not accessible enough for ordering the pizzas there. Yeah.
I think it's like to a point in your presentation, as we move to a more digital focused customer experience, that
Yes.
it's an absolute necessity, isn't it? That
Yes.
as we would with access to a branch, it would be in
Yeah.
a similar manner.
True.
Any final questions? Okay, if you have any other questions, please ask us in Discord, or as I said, we'll be there with the accessibility simulation tools and a chance to speak to some of our other engineers on Saturday. So I think that's it from us. Alex, anything final from you?
No, I think that's all good. Again, just a big thank you for both of your time. Big thank you for everyone joining as well. And we look forward to seeing you all at the weekend.
Super. Thank you very much. We'll end it there.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.